Bob Iger is back as the CEO of Disney. If you think Bob Iger would be making Disney better, you would be sadly, deadly wrong. Thank you for joining your
United Comics Universe.
A universe for fans.
From pages to pictures, we are comics.
Disney is an organization that built itself on wonders and magic, gifting children warm memories of adventures, princesses, and memorable stories, but was overtaken by unapologetic activists bent on making the company a mouthpiece for their ideologies. The Magic Kingdom was given over to lesser people, and instead of releasing products that merge creativity and joy, they wheel out remakes, reboots, and an unimaginative tripe that follows the demands of radical activists and Chinese dictators. Many people have opinions on where did Disney begin to sink. I can tell you this, it then started with the former CEO Bob Chapek. Chapek is largely blamed for Disney's descent into wokeness. To be sure, he oversaw the company when it tried to take on Florida Governor Ron DeSantis and Florida Republicans over the parental rights bill, causing the company a special tax privileges.
Announcing today that we are expanding the call of what they are going to be considering this week. And so yes, they will be considering the congressional map, but they also will be considering termination of all special districts that were enacted in Florida prior to 1968, and that includes the Reedy Creek Improvement District.
He was the head of the company while Kathleen Kennedy took Star Wars from a celebrated and revered brand and turned it into a political laughing stock. He was on the throne while the MCU became the MCU and turned a thriving superhero universe into a ridiculous propaganda factory for social justice politics. But while Chapek kept the Disney empire in flames by constantly pouring gasoline on it, he didn't start the fire. The man responsible for that is the person now taking over for Chapek, Bob Iger, Disney former CEO. It was Iger that set this game plan for the company. Chapek was just the Scrooge that took the football and ran with it after Iger handed it off to him.
Do you feel like your mission and your purpose as CEO is to continue on the path that Iger has started, or do you envision more need for change or potential acquisitions or sort of shifts down the line?
I suspect in the beginning it will be more of the same, because essentially the strategies that Bob's put in place are really, long-lasting in terms of where the company's going to go in the short term.
For starter, Iger has deep connection with China, as Fox News reported. Iger opened the doors for China control over the company. Iger began courting China in 2010 when he went on an apologetic tour with then CEO Michael Eisner over the film Kundum, a biography of the Dalai Lama. From there, he began trying to open up theme parks in Shanghai.
Reports earlier today from the Hollywood Reporter on Disney's Bob Iger heading to the Biden administration. I want to bring in David Asman, host of Bulls and Bears on Fox Business. David, good day to you. The early report said that he might go to Beijing. Some other reports say it might be London. What do you think of this?
Well, let's just assume it's Beijing for the moment. It may not be. But with all the shady deals that the Biden family was involved with that is now beginning to come out to roll out, and finally the media is paying attention, is this really the right time, when all this stuff about Biden's and China's coming out, to pick a guy who many see as being complicit or appeasing Chinese censors? I mean, his appeasement, or Disney's appeasement of China and what they do to their films, to Disney films in terms of censoring them, goes way back to 1998. There was a film called Kundun, which was about the Dalai Lama. And of course, he represents Tibet, which China thinks is their own. The Tibetans are fiercely independent, but China doesn't recognize that. After the Chinese got upset at that film, Bob Iger said, and I'm quoting, "I want to apologize, and in the future we should prevent this sort of thing which insults our friends." This goes all the way up to Mulan, the movie, the live-action Mulan, which was made by Disney, and in some part was made in cooperation with the same folks who were oppressing the Uyghurs, that minority, the Muslim minority in the north of China. As many as 1 million people have been brutally repressed by the Chinese government. They actually used an agency that is in a part complicit in that oppression of the Uyghurs, Disney did, to help them make that film. They received a lot of flack for that. And then as recently as early last year, when the NBA dust-up happened, Bob Iger was asked to take a position on the dust-up between NBA and Hong Kong, whether or not we should support independence movement in Hong Kong. Iger said, and I quote, "To take a position that could harm our company in some form would be a big mistake." Bottom line is, this is a guy who's appeased China many different ways. Is it really the guy we want to hold the line for the U.S.
We'll see if that
Beijing?
happens. But Trump and Pompeo, they poked the Beijing bear. And if you watch Nikki Haley with Dana a bit earlier today, I mean, she had a message for Joe Biden. Here is part of that, and then I'll ask you about it. Watch here.
Now we see that he and his family have had business dealings with China. We really need to make sure that China doesn't feel like they're going to get a pass here with Biden, and that they understand that we're going to be as strong and as tough as we've been this past 4 years.
Her point was that will he prove to Americans that he will do that? What's your sense, Dave?
There's no way that anybody in their right mind would believe that this administration, the incoming administration of Joe Biden, would be tougher in any way, shape, or form than that of Donald Trump. I mean, and the possible appointment of somebody like Bob Iger to be the ambassador to China is a perfect example of their, what I would call, appeasement of China rather than holding the line against China.
In June 2016, Disney opened the Shanghai Disneyland theme park, giving the Chinese government a 57% ownership stake in the resort and a 30% share in the Disney management company that runs the property. Iger told CNBC after the opening that he had been working on developing a relationship with China for 17 years and that he had engaged with 3 presidents and a few primers and a number of vice primers and a number of party secretaries and 5 or 6 mayors of Shanghai. I know from the engagement that I have had with numerous people over time, including President Xi Jinping, that they are very supportive of what is going on here and what we have done here, Iger said, adding that Disney has great Chinese partners, Iger said, and adding that Disney had the approval of the government. Disney also started working with Beijing Minister of Culture, and 1 month after Shanghai Disneyland opened, Disney released the nature film Born in China, in the communist country. Iger has never addressed the human rights abuse being suffered in China, especially the Uyghur Muslims and the concentration camps they are kept in.
Now, women in China's so-called re-education camps have been systematically raped and tortured. That's according to first-hand accounts obtained by the BBC. It's estimated more than 1 million men and women have been detained in the camps in China's northwest Xinjiang region. China claims the camps are re-education centres to de-radicalise Uyghurs and other Muslim minorities. Our correspondent Matthew Hill has spoken to several former detainees and workers, and you may find some of their accounts distressing.
Tasanai Zaiwudan is reliving a story she can barely bring herself to tell. She was held at one of Xinjiang's so-called re-education camps. These satellite images show the site where Tasanai says she was held, sharing a cell with 13 other women with a bucket for a toilet. And she's haunted by one image: masked men coming down a camp corridor like this one after midnight.
They were 3 men. Not one, but 3. They did whatever evil their mind could think of, and they didn't spare any part of my body, biting it to the extent that it was disgusting to look at. They didn't just rape, they were barbaric. They had bitten all over my body.
The US have granted her safe refuge after investigating her claims. She's waived her right to anonymity and now feels free to speak out about the full extent of the abuse she says she suffered.
They had an electric baton. I didn't know what it was. It was pushed into my private parts and I was tormented with electric shocks.
It's estimated over 1 million Uyghurs and other Muslims are held in the camps. These never-before-broadcast pictures were filmed secretly in a camp under construction and published by a magazine on religious liberty. We've interviewed a former guard and seen his Chinese police documents. He's the first ever to come forward, and the risk of him speaking to the BBC is so great, we've reconstructed the interview with an actor.
Jews who were taken inside were locked in a cell which held 8 to 16 inmates. There were cameras watching them all the time, and there were books about Xi Jinping. They have to study the book and memorize them in Chinese. If they fell, the punishment was severe.
Many former camp inmates flee to Istanbul. Some talk of having to choose between punishment or being complicit in these crimes.
I worked 6 months as a cleaning worker for the women. Han Chinese men would pay money to have their pick of the pretty young inmates.
This was the first time Gulzira has told anyone the full extent of what she says she was forced to do.
My job is to remove their clothes and then handcuff them on their beds so they cannot move.
We can't say if the rape is approved by the camp commanders or even by those more senior, but the accounts of the many women I've spoken to include gang rape in public and are similar in brutality. The Uyghur rights group that helped Tursunay get to America say their full stories don't emerge until later.
Survivors of the camps have told of horrific tortures. Very often sexual abuse, however, is told in less detail. It's traumatic to remember. And women are often afraid of bringing shame to their own family members.
The Chinese government said in a statement that the Xinjiang camps offered vocational and educational training to tackle extremism and terrorism. It did not address directly the accusations of rape and torture, but it added the Chinese government attaches great importance to women's rights. Lies and absurd accusations, including mass detention, do not hold water.
It is very obvious their goal is to destroy everyone, and everyone knows it. These women are done.
Much of the testimony of the women, like Tursunay I've spoken to, is too disturbing to broadcast. But it's important, they say, that the world knows what's happened to them. Matthew Hill, BBC News.
However, he had no problem weighing in on the matters in America. When Georgia Heartbeat Bill passed, Iger said that Disney will likely no longer film there. Iger also resigned from President Donald Trump's Business Advisory Council after he withdrew from the Paris Climate Accords.
How would you both combat climate change and support job growth at the same time? Starting with you, President Trump, you have 2 minutes uninterrupted.
So we have the Trillion Trees program. We have so many different programs. I do love the environment, but what I want is the cleanest, crystal clear water, the cleanest air. We have the best, lowest number in carbon emissions, which is a big standard that I notice Obama goes with all the time. Not Joe. I haven't heard Joe use the term because I'm not sure he knows what it represents or means, but I have heard Obama use it. And we have the best carbon emission numbers that we've had in 35 years under this administration. We are working so well with industry, but here's what we can't do. Look at China, how filthy it is. Look at Russia. Look at India. It's filthy. The air is filthy. The Paris Accord, I took us out because we were going to have to spend trillions of dollars, and we were treated very unfairly. When they put us in there, they did us a great disservice. They were going to take away our businesses. I will not sacrifice tens of millions of jobs, thousands and thousands of companies because of the Paris Accord. It was so unfair. China doesn't kick in until 2030. Russia goes back to a low standard, and we kicked in right away. It would have destroyed our businesses. So, you ready? We have done an incredible job environmentally. We have the cleanest air, the cleanest water, and the best carbon emission standards that we've seen in many, many years.
Vice President
And we
Biden.
haven't destroyed our industries.
Iger also began following the protocols of woke culture. After promising to begin hiring people based on race and sex in order to diversify Disney, including within the executive ranks, if you are betting that Iger would turn the company around, then rest assured, he would not. Iger would like to do whatever it takes to get the Disney ESG to score higher, which means a lot more leftist nonsense in store for the house that Walt built. Iger is not the man to lead Disney, and all clues point to him making its problems even worse. Now, just take a moment and let that sink in your mind. Traitors, traitors, traitors. One who betray one's country, a cause, or a trust, especially one who commit treason. Have you ever heard of the Script Act? No worries. So we're going to let Ted Cruz, United States of America Senator of Great Texas, tell you.
We need to be vigilant and to act where we can to thwart the Chinese government's attempts to twist the truth, to censor and to silence within China. But we also need to be vigilant about the Chinese government's attempts to censor and silence elsewhere, including in our own nation. In the United States, the Chinese government attempts to spread propaganda by two ways: by leveraging their enormous market access to coerce Americans into self-censorship, especially to Hollywood and sports teams who stand to make billions of dollars in China, and by simply purchasing access to our cultural and educational centers. With both levers, Chinese officials have one objective: to shape what Americans see, hear, and ultimately think. China has the world's second largest film market, second only to the United States, and it does around $8 billion in box office revenues per year. The Chinese film market is comprised of Chinese films, but they also make sure to allow a few dozen American films into their market every year. The number is deliberately kept low, and in exchange for access, American film companies submit their films to China's censors, who often force them to change those films. American companies have learned this fact, and they'll often change the films even in advance of submitting. As a result, they control not just what audiences see in China, but also what Americans see. The Chinese government's censorship office seeks to edit anything to do with Tibet, with Taiwan, with Tiananmen Square, with human rights, with democracy, with religion, or with any criticism of communism, particularly the Chinese Communist Party. Recently, the Chinese government has succeeded in forcing changes to movies such as Top Gun, the sequel, such as Doctor Strange, such as Skyfall, such as the remake of Red Dawn. Pixels, Looper, Bohemian Rhapsody, all are movies that were changed. In Bohemian Rhapsody, the Chinese Communist Party edited out references to the fact that Freddie Mercury was gay. In Doctor Strange, they changed the Ancient One's character from Tibetan, as portrayed in the comic book, to Celtic. And in the Top Gun sequel that's set to come out later this year, the Taiwanese and Japanese flags on the back of Maverick's jacket were removed to appease the Chinese Communist Party. Think about that for a second. What message does it send that Maverick, an American icon, is apparently afraid of the Chinese communists? That's ridiculous. That's why today I'm introducing the Script Act, which would cut off Hollywood studios from the assistance they receive from the U.S. government if those studios censor their films for screening in China. It's common practice for major Hollywood films to contract with the Pentagon to use jets and tanks and to film on bases and aircraft carriers. The Script Act should be a wake-up call for Hollywood. Studios would be forced to choose between the assistance from the federal government or the money that they want from China.
Okay, now let that sink in. So Kevin Feige is a part of this too. We did a video from our series called The Lid Up. The video is called The Lid Up Episode 2. Kevin Feige regrets whitewashing the Ancient One, featuring Fenrir Moon, myself, and Jonan Show. 5/22/2021. I'm going to be playing parts of the video for you. Feige told Entertainment Weekly in 2015 that they wanted to avoid the ways the character had been written in the comics. That is fine. That is fine. No one is not mad at that. Why is we apologizing about whitewashing? He said, I think if you look at some of the earliest incarnation of the Ancient One in the comics, they are what we, not we, you, would consider to be quite sort of stereotypes. They don't hold up to what works today. Derrickson echoed that statement in multiple interviews and added he didn't want to cast an Asian woman and fall into the dragon lady stereotype. Please go to our website www.UnitedComicsUniverse.net to watch the full video. Now, Kevin Feige and Scott Derrickson told us all of those lies. The real reason why? The CCP told them to change it. You know what that means. Kevin Feige and Scott Derrickson are traitors too. Now, check this out. This is going to piss you off even more. Those traitors, Bob Iger and Kevin Feige and Scott Derrickson, knew about the coronavirus before it was released into the world. Captain America, the first Avenger, was released in theaters on July 22, 2011. Remember the post-credit when Captain America woke up in the fake room, when Captain America running down the street, you could see the coronavirus and the Corona beer on the TV screens behind him. Now, what happened when the coronavirus was released into the world? News stations like ABC 10 News, CBS Colorado, and Fox 4 Now were reporting some confused people are having about the coronavirus. A story going around today claims that many people think the illness sweeping the globe is connected to the corona, the beer. Colorado ranked 5th in the country for state searching corona beer virus. People somehow believe it is related to the popular Mexican beer. One reporter said that story made me lose a little bit of faith of humanity. Conan on TBS did a skit on this, making complete fun of us Americans, making it look like we are dumb and stupid. Also, look at the news reporters. They are all laughing at us. Now, we all know Google is controlled by the CCP, which is the Chinese government. Here are those disgusting clips.
In tonight's Fact or Fiction, we are looking into some confusion people are having about the coronavirus. A story going around today claims that many people think the illness sweeping the globe is connected to Corona the beer. It's true. Google searches have spiked since January the 18th for the terms beer coronavirus, which you see in yellow there, beer virus, which you see in blue, and Corona beer virus, which you see in red. So far, Corona Beer's parent company has yet to comment about this. According to the CDC, the coronavirus gets its name from the crown-like spikes it shows under a microscope. Corona in Latin is Latin for crown, something like that. Like this. I don't know Latin.
Colorado ranks 5th in the country for states searching Corona beer virus, a trend that's been seen worldwide in the wake of the coronavirus outbreak, in which people somehow believe that it is related to the popular Mexican beer. It's not. No correlation whatsoever. And yet the worldwide search for Corona beer virus are up more than 2,300%. The beer gets its name because Corona means crown in Spanish. The coronavirus gets its name because under a microscope, viral particles are round with a series of crown-like spikes protruding from the top. I'm Ken Molestina, covering Colorado First.
This story is making me lose a little bit of faith in humanity this morning. According to Google Trends Graph, many people are concerned over the outbreak of the Corona beer virus. Recent internet search results reveal a major spike in searches for Corona beer virus. These searches seem to be most prevalent in North America, Brazil, Australia, and parts of Asia and Europe. Some internet users suggest people are confused about the virus and believe there's some kind of link between the sickness and Corona beer. Well, the CDC has not claimed there's any dangerous viruses linked to or caused by drinking Coronas, and this has officially put a damper on my Friday.
A recent survey revealed that people are equating the coronavirus with Corona beer. Not making this up, there's been a massive increase in online searches for Corona beer virus and beer coronavirus. And again, this is true. Some market experts believe this could affect the sales of Corona beer. So it's very serious for the Corona Beer Company. To address the situation, Corona parent company Constellation Brands has issued this new ad. I checked it out. I don't think this is going to help. Take a look.
Hello, I'm Bill Newlands, and I want to address you, the American consumer. Okay. Let me make this clear. There is no, and I mean zero, connection between the coronavirus and this perfectly refreshing, great-tasting, germ-free Corona beer.
Why'd you guys name your beer after a virus? That's dumb.
We didn't. We named our beer first. The reason we have the same name is because Corona means crown in Spanish. See the crown?
Oh, so you're like the king of viruses.
No, stay with me, please, okay? Again, there's no connection between Corona beer and the coronavirus.
How many cases are there?
Of the beer? Millions.
Sounds like a pandemic.
No, again, you're conflating two different things.
How will I know if I have the beer?
I guess check in your refrigerator or your hand?
I have the beer now. Does this mean I'm sick?
Absolutely not.
Why should I trust you?
Well, I'm the CEO of the company.
What if you're a ghost?
I'm alive, I'm not a ghost.
So I'm the ghost.
There's no ghost! Sorry, there's no ghost and there's no virus in your beer.
So this is a beer that I'm holding.
Yes.
And now I have the virus.
No virus!
Virus.
No, it's a beer!
Bottle full of virus.
It's a beer!
Cerveza más virus.
No!
Yo quiero un nachos grande y dos viruses.
Stop it! It's a beer!
Virus.
Beer. Knock it off! God damn it, where do we find this guy?
Captain America is not the only Marvel movie that has the coronavirus in it. Doctor Strange is the other movie. Doctor Strange will release in theaters on November the 4th, 2016. Remember when Doctor Strange first met the Ancient One touched Doctor Strange's third eye and said, "Open your eyes."
You think you know how the world works? You think that this material universe is all there is? What is real? What mysteries lie beyond the reach of your senses?
Alright, Doctor Strange went through all of those realities. Did you see the coronavirus? If you didn't, it's okay. We are all discovering those demonic things together. I'm going to replay the clip of the coronavirus reality again for you.
What mysteries lie beyond the reach of your senses?
Do you see it? Great. Okay, do you hear what the Ancient One said? What mystery lies beyond the reach of your senses? Well, we discovered your mystery. The only reason why it was beyond the reach of our senses, we was not in the mindset to be looking for a virus. Now that the mystery is not beyond the reach of you and I senses anymore, so Marvel changed the Ancient One and put the coronavirus into the movie for the CCP. And don't forget about the Corona beer also. Think about it. The coronavirus reality became real. Captain America, the first Avenger, came out in 2011. Doctor Strange came out in 2016. The first human case of COVID-19 were identified in Wuhan, People's Republic of China in December 2019. The World Health Organization declared the COVID-19 breakout a public health emergency of international concern on 30th January 2020 and a pandemic on 11 March 2020. Captain America, the first Avenger, came out 9 years before the coronavirus, and Doctor Strange came out 4 years before the coronavirus was released into the world. Guess who was the CEO of Disney at that time? Bob Iger. He became the CEO of Disney on September 30, 2005, 4 years before Disney bought Marvel Studios, was purchased on the date of August 31st, 2009. Captain America, the first Avenger, came out 2 years later with the Corona beer along with the coronavirus in the movie. So that means the story the news was reporting was already set in place. They just lied to us about people getting confused about the Corona beer and the coronavirus. That also means that the coronavirus was created before we knew about it in 2019. Think about it. How would those movies have the virus in them before the virus was discovered in 2019? So Bob Iger, Kevin Feige, and the rest of the crew are complete traitors and straight up demons. Remember, fans, we are the bosses. Johnny Depp, understand this.
Florian Weiss, German television. Hi, question to Johnny. We're just waiting outside. There were a few thousand fans waiting there, I think, since 6 o'clock in the morning. I think this is a massive welcome to you and your crew from this movie. Anything you want to say about it?
To me, I don't understand how this works. Sorry. To me, the people who were waiting outside, who were dedicated and nice enough and kind enough to wait for such a long time, just to say hello and welcome you to Italy while you're supporting a film. Those people outside, I've never liked the term fans, you know. I just, I don't know, it just doesn't work for me. But I consider those people essentially our employers, you know. They're the boss, because they're the ones who go to the cinemas, they're the ones who spend their money, their hard-earned money, to go and escape for 2 hours or whatever, you know, to watch a film. So, yeah, it's a very warm feeling always. It's a very, you know, it's always very touching to receive that kind of a welcome. So yeah, I thank my bosses outside.
Understand, without us, there will not be a Marvel Studios or Disney. Let's talk about Disney Main Street, USA. Some of the American flags only have 45 stars on them, which is straight up treason. Wake up, my American patriots. This is not okay. That is a great disrespect and disloyalty to our beloved founders, our beloved General Patton, and the rest of our beloved American patriots. Our people worked together and fought hard for our bold and beautiful United States of America. Many of our great patriots who gave their awesome, beautiful lives for our country. Here's actual footage of our beloved General Patton talking to our beloved American patriots. Look how our American patriots have pride and love for our beloved General Patton and our United States of America, bold and the beautiful. Remember, America, we are warriors, not snowflakes.
On his return, Americans showed their gratitude. In General Pershing's words, it didn't hurt America to have a general so bold that he was dangerous. Los Angeles went all out in its reception. With him was General Doolittle, whose 8th Air Force in Europe did so much to assure final victory.
Although no unit, no individual won the war, we're fortunate in having one here tonight with us who had a large part in winning the war. I'm pleased and proud to have been privileged to fight by the side of General George Patton. Your Honor, the Mayor, General Doolittle, soldiers, ladies and gentlemen, coming over here, there was a very great lesson. The first 4 hours, we passed over a destroyed land, utterly destroyed. You who have not seen it do not know what hell looks like from the top. That's what Germany looks like. That's what Austria looks like. That's what any place that the 8th Air Force and the 3rd Army worked on looks like. You must remember this, that from Brest to various towns in southern Germany and Austria, whose names I can't pronounce, but whose places I have removed. The trail of the 3rd Army and the 19th Tactical Air Command and the 8th Air Force is marked by more than 40,000 white crosses, 40,000 dead Americans.
Few realized how deeply he felt about his men.
What do you think? Is Bob Iger going to change Disney for the better? Use your comment words and type them down below and let us know. Please visit our website, www.UnitedComicsUniverse.net. Please let us know what you think about it. We are still working on it for you, but please leave a comment on the website or contact us by email. Contact a ninja at UnitedComicsUniverse.net. Don't forget to subscribe, like up, comment, share, and share. Remember, sharing is unifying. Also, hit us up on our Twitter, Rumble, BitChute, YouTube, Facebook public group, True Social, and Instagram. Please drop by our Patreon and donate there to help support our channel, because we are so heavily shadow banned and censored for over 5 years. All links will be down below. Our channel is for fans, by fans, and we will always bring you the truth. We will catch you superheroes and villains another time. We are comics.
Copyright disclaimer. Citation of articles and authors in this report does not imply ownership. Works and images presented here fall under Fair Use Section 107 and are used for commentary on globally significant newsworthy events. Under Section 107 of the Copyright Act, 1976, allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. Community Guidelines Disclaimer. The points of view and purpose of this video is not to bully or harass anyone, but rather share that opinion and thoughts with other like-minded individuals curious about the subject.